Okay, there we go. All right, so again, welcome. And I've got a few announcements. We're doing another group detox. We're gonna start that on June 10th. So we'll be announcing that and offering our support through either our regular daily calls, through email, that's preferable to you, and our private Facebook group page. You know, we just did one beginning of April, but I think June's probably a good time to do it again and gear up for summer. And there's our link to our private Facebook page if you have not joined us and want to join us there. Our next Zoom call will be Friday, June 21st, and the topic will
To be determined.
And then also want to remind everyone that we do offer our custom meal plans based on our Candida Legal Foods list. And I'm going to work on one for Judd and Julie so they can have some prepped meals for themselves. All right, so John wants to talk first. I'll let you talk.
Before we get started, I just want to, for those of you who talk to Ashley, or come in and see her when she's doing services, she won't be with us tonight because her grandmother passed away, and tonight is the wake and tomorrow is the funeral. So if you wonder why we're scrambling a little bit, is because we're a little short-staffed because of that. But I hope everybody sends their thoughts and prayers to her. She took it pretty hard. It was very unexpected. So I know everybody will send their love through our thoughts. So just so you know what's happening. The other thing I wanted to announce is that Patty mentioned our banter back and forth. And that's because we've been working together for 19 years. I can't even believe that. 19 years we've been working together.
I've put up with you.
That I put up with her. No, I don't know. We wouldn't be where we are without her. Oftentimes people think that it's my show, but it's not. It's a dual show along with Patty. Dr. Nelson, I wouldn't be here. Neither one of us would be here without Dr. Nelson and her guidance and mentoring and answering all my questions, sometimes early in the morning, sometimes late. But she's always gets back to me and gives me an answer that I can pass on to people when I am stumped or not sure if maybe I missed something. And when I was trying to think of stuff for class, sometimes I think I run out of ideas and I just don't know what else to talk about, or that everybody knows the stuff we talk about and do. And so this month I reached out to her and said, I've got a class coming up and I don't have any idea what to talk about. Do you have any ideas? And she mentioned about parasites because she's working with somebody or a couple people that have this problem right now. And I thought, wow, this is great. So she put together a program for us. I think you're truly going to enjoy it. For those of you who don't know, and for those of you who do, I know you don't mind hearing again, but Dr. Nelson virtually saved my life at least twice. And I've known her now for almost 25 years. And she has been a friend, a mentor, a partner, whatever you want to call it, because she's just always been there and guided not only my health, but people that I know, my clients, and always very positive and supportive, firm. She always says I'm strict with people, but I learned it from her. So that's where I got all my strictness from. So if you're complaining about that, it's Dr. Nelson. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. We're not going to hear any other story. So when she tries to say it's different, it's not. Just saying. Okay, but she's a sweetheart. We love her. And I wish that she was still there full time like it used to be, but everything changes. But she's always there for me and for you as clients through me and Patty. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Nelson, let her have control, and tell you everything she knows about parasites and how we get them, what we need to do about it, symptoms, etc. Dr. Nelson, turning it over to you with love.
Okay, thank you. Actually, Patty's is in charge of the slides today, so you can move to the first one, if you will, Patty.
Okay.
Okay, so when we talked about some things that maybe you haven't spent time on before, and it's right in the front of my mind because I am working with people right now who have been living in South America for several years and have come back to the States with all kinds of autoimmune disorders and trace back to parasites and worms that they have contracted living outside the United States. And conventional medicine will put you on a pretty caustic chemical program. Hopefully that will cure those parasites and worms and evacuate them from the system. The two people I'm working with right now actually have been sort of dismissed by conventional medicine and tell them they're going to have to live with it because they have tried everything prescription and chemical wise and can't seem to eradicate both worms and parasites from their system. And as we talk about it, 90% of all Americans have some kind of parasites and worms. Very often you don't know that you have them because we eat them and we drink them, and if we live well and if we detoxify and we eat the right foods and we drink enough water, they don't have a chance to form a colony inside the small intestine and the large intestine. But if we don't do that, if you're living a lifestyle that feeds what we call an invader, they establish colonies in the system that are very, very difficult to get rid of. So when we talk about parasites and worms, we're going to talk about, because if you have one, very, very often you have both. It's a living organism that lives on what we eat. So when I say on here it gets its food from at the expense of its host, essentially it lives on what you eat and compromises your nutrition as well as your digestion, as well as other organs that they may invade. Lots of different kinds, and if you get looking into it, they're called a lot of different kinds, but there are quite a few different kinds of worms, and there are quite a few different kinds of parasites. If you think about it, if you have an infestation, you just want to get rid of whatever it is. So how do we get them? We get them from tap water. If you drink water that hasn't been purified, if you eat undercooked food, and as I was thinking about as I put this together, I actually was in New York doing a seminar, and we went out to eat. We were out on Long Island, went out to eat at a restaurant, and we ordered fish. And as the person I was with cut into her fish, it was so undercooked, there actually were worms in there that were still moving. So when you think about eating undercooked food, particularly fish and meat, it's a really great host for parasites and worms. You can get it from you can get parasites particularly from someone in your family that might have parasites. They live outside the body and can invade your body by touching the same counter. Yes, like by touching the same things, or if you go barefoot in a lot of places that actually have parasites and worms. They begin by settling in the large intestine and the small intestine. So the small intestine and the colon, and obviously going down your intestinal tract. once they're in there and they establish, they can work their way back into other parts of the body, so other parts of organs. Okay, Patty. Okay, so these are all the symptoms if you have a infestation of parasites and worms. We probably all have parasites in our systems at times because we live in an environment that allows that. But if you're living a healthy lifestyle, they just eliminate from the body. But if you have these symptoms, some of them will, if you've been on the Candida program, some of these you'll feel like the same symptoms of Candida, which they both are living organisms and both of them don't want to die. But if you're hungry all the time, the reason you're hungry all the time is because you're not getting your nutrition. You've got hosts that you're the host that is feeding parasites and worms. If you're tired all the time, or if you've got unexplained weight loss, which is another reason that you're not getting nutrition because it's being used by other people, other things. Achy joints or moody, rashes or hives, particularly pinworms with rashes and hives. They can work their way under the skin, and they also go down the intestinal tract and eliminate out of the anus and cause rashes that never ever go away. If you have a hard time sleeping, I talked about this, if you have itchy spots around all of your private parts, if you have frequent yeast flare-ups, we're talking about the connection between Candida and parasites and worms. If you're bloated, a lot of us get bloated and we don't know why. A lot of times it's because of the foods that we eat, and a lot of times it's Candida, but a lot of times it's also parasites and worms. If you have gas or stomach cramps or nausea all the time, if you have diarrhea a lot and there is not any other explanation, all of these are symptoms of parasites and worms. Okay, Patty. Okay, we talked about this. Any kind of protein, animal protein, undercooked, which is why you should never ask if a restaurant asks how you want your meat cooked, raw or undercooked is not a good idea. If you're contacted with contaminated feces, so if you're living in the same home with someone, or you have children that you're cleaning up, even diapers, and we're talking about children. I'll tell you a little bit about children as we go through here. You're subjecting yourself to leaving your body open for parasites and worms and poor hygiene. So once you've consumed them, which they have to come in through the mouth, or they can come in through your feet. We'll talk a little bit about feet in a few minutes. Once they're in the body, they travel down your intestinal tract into your intestines, and then they reproduce and grow in the intestines, and you either detoxify or do something that keeps your system clean, and they eliminate just out of your elimination. Otherwise, they reproduce and build themselves little nests. They hook their way into your intestinal lining, and they're very, very difficult to eliminate. Okay. Okay, so how can you tell if you have worms in your stool? Worms actually come out through your stool. Parasites can come out through other organs of the body, but they eventually will pass through the digestive system, and when you eliminate, they're in the stool. I'm going to tell you that I don't know how many people examine their stool or pull it out and look for worms, but you can tell that way. Roundworms are large round worms, and I'm going to show you some pictures in just a few minutes. If you look here on the end, there's a roundworm and a hookworm and a tapeworm and a whipworm. They're all different species, but they all do the same thing in your intestinal tract. Pinworms are the most common that that people get because they pass very easily between. But they also are called threadworms. They look like pieces of thread. They're about as long as a staple, and they're white, unless they're dead when they come out. And sometimes as you kill them, they turn black, but they look like a little staple. And they come out at night down your anus, and then they lay their eggs on the surrounding skin, which is why with pinworms, people have rashes all the time, itchy rashes all the time. And once they have eliminated, the pinworms have eliminated out of your anus, you can pass those very, very easily to everybody that's living in your home. Okay. Okay, so there's flatworms. These are tapeworms and flukes. I've taken a lot of people through elimination of parasites and worms, and we have eliminated one woman I was working for, a 16-inch tapeworm. So if you think about it, they look like a tape measure. And they grow. In fact, if you read about tapeworms, they have found tapeworms in people's intestinal tract up to 50 feet. So you wonder what's happening in your intestinal system if you're getting tapeworms. And tapeworms are very easy to get if you're eating undercooked foods. And I'm going to say in foreign countries, but there's a lot of places in the United States and a lot of circumstances that you can get tapeworms also. Roundworms are pinworms. So they can live up to 25 years in your system. Now, all of you have had, I think you've all detoxified, which is actually your very first defense. And you probably, when you detoxify, you're not looking for parasites or worms that are eliminated out of your system, but they're there. When you detoxify, they are eliminated. They are a living organism and they don't want to die. So you can't just wish they would be gone, and you can't just stop eating sugar or drinking soda. You actually have to kill them to eliminate from the system. Then they attach to the intestinal wall. Okay, Patty. So we went. You can go to the next one too. This is we talked about what the symptoms that you're going to feel. However, before we do that, if you look on this side, can you see that tapeworm? Look how long that is, and you wonder. That I'm sure that's a specimen. We have in here. In our office we have 2 plexiglass containers with worms in it, and they actually are that same size. So you're all going to be really grossed out when I'm done here, but we're gonna fix it. So okay.
I already am. Okay, next. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, estimated that more than 1 billion people in the world are affected with pinworms.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
So
Why are you listening to this now?
pinworms lay their eggs on the skin.
Yeah, why did
And
watch
when
all-
you scratch where the pinworms are, the eggs stick to your fingernails. Then they're transferred to surfaces and to other people who swallow them. So they actually contaminate everyone around you.
Hey Patty, can you mute anyone that's not muted?
Yeah.
We're getting a lot of
I'm trying to find who it is because I thought everybody was muted.
Thank you.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Okay, Dr. Wilson.
All right. So the eggs travel clear through your digestive system. They hatch in your intestines. And as you eliminate them, particularly pinworms, they are contagious. I'll just tell you about a woman that I worked with not long ago who has lupus. And of course, she was already has autoimmune issues. But we put her through actual cleanse, parasite and worm cleanse. And she got through like 5 days of the first cleanse. And I'm going to talk about kind of the program that we do, but she detoxified actually the lemon and no solid food for about the first 5 days, and called me absolutely freaked out because she says, I'm eliminating in my stool, I'm eliminating nests and worms, and I'm going to quit. I can't do that. It's making me sick. I can't do it. Well, my answer was, do you want to leave them in there? And of course she didn't want to, but it was a gut reaction that that it's scary when you know that there are living things living in your body, living off of you as a host. Okay. Okay, so pinworm eggs, and you can see this picture here. It looks like little threads. That's what pinworms look like. And if you look at the scale underneath, you can see that some of them are like 1 inch long, 2 inch long, 3 inches long, and they can live 2 to 3 weeks on other surfaces. So your clothing, the toilet seats, your bedding. And that's how it passes in your family, or people that are around you, or people that you're working with that are using the same living situation as you are. Okay. Okay, it'd be 740 million people are infected with hookworms. Says most people affected with hookworms have no symptoms, but they affect your lungs and your skin and your small intestines. Hookworms go into tissues. They go into organs. They really start with your small intestine and your large intestine. And I'll show you a picture of a minute, but they have a mouth, looks like, if you blow it up, it looks kind of like a monster. Anyway, teeth that hook in and attach themselves to tissues. So it starts if they itch. You can see one in the bottom of someone's foot here, and you can see some that have been eliminated from the body. And if you look, there's a little head on the end of those. They hook into the host, and the only way to eliminate them from the body is to kill them, is to make them die by either chemical means or detoxification means.
Dr. Nelson, that one at the foot, that's actually inside under the skin? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's they travel. So there's a lot of times, if you're really infested, before you get to the point where you know that it's an issue and you solve it with, if you went to conventional medicine, you're given toxic chemicals that kill them. But we know for a fact that when you solve an issue with chemical, it always causes other issues. So that's it. You have to decide what's going to be the worst, I guess. Okay, next slide.
Yeah.
Okay, so 2 weeks ago, I started working with a woman who's been in South America for 2 years, and she's the one that I'm working with that came home and has been 6 months under chemical. She and her husband under chemical, trying to get rid of all the parasites. Her husband, it worked for him. At least they say it did. But for her, they finally said, we can't, obviously we've given you everything, we can't solve it. You're just going to have to live with it. So this is on her 5th day of detoxification, and she sent me this picture. This is a hookworm that I've got her convinced that if she wants to really see if it's working, she has to examine her stool. So that's what this is. So size of a penny, but that's a hookworm that has hooked itself into her intestinal tract. And as we detoxify, as they die, you can see it's turned black. As they die, they release and it comes out through your intestinal tract. So you can lower your risk of getting hookworms. Wear shoes, drinking safe water, same things, cooking your food, make sure you wash your hands, make sure that your surroundings are sanitary. Okay.
Where did the penny come from?
Oh, I asked her if she eliminated that penny too, and she laughed. She said, no, I just wanted you to see the size.
Oh,
Thanks for the clarification.
So it was a reference point.
okay.
Okay, so when you have intestinal worms, anemia is a really, really big issue because they're living off your nutrition. Intestinal blockages are big. If you've got, if you do research on it, it will tell you that depending on your infestation, they can be laying thousands and thousands and thousands of worms a day, and then they make nests. So if you can think about that, intestinal blockages, it becomes kind of evident to you that that if that's happening, that you're going to have elimination systems. So avoid raw fish. I know that you sushi lovers are going to think that's not good, but I'm just giving you how to avoid intestinal worms. Cook meat 145 degrees. If you all have a meat thermometer, 145 degrees. Freeze meat or fish for at least 24 hours. So we go fishing every year in Alaska. In fact, I'm going this year with John and Patty. And when I bring the fish home, I always freeze them. We bring them home frozen, but I always leave them frozen until we eat, because freezing will also kill worms. Wash, peel, or cook all raw fruits or vegetables. If you've traveled a lot internationally, I know the rule is only eat fruits and vegetables that you can peel, or that you can cook, so all of a sudden they're not raw anymore. Wash or reheat any food that falls on the floor, and avoid contact with soil, and only drink purified water. Okay. Okay, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my introduction to parasites and worms, which has been a really long time, maybe 40 years of my life. But my husband and I went down on the Amazon because I was looking for. I wanted to meet shaman. Who shaman are the medical, they're the doctors in their culture. And when you go to the Amazon, they have no pesticides, they have no fertilizers, they've never had medication, they've never had drugs. They eat everything off the land. So they're super healthy. They're so healthy that you don't see any osteoporosis, you don't see any arthritis. You can't tell young women from old women. They all look amazing. They've all got great hair. They've all got great skin. And the reason that I was interested in going there is I heard a shaman speaking in the United States, and he said life expectancy on the Amazon is 105. That's what sort of piqued my interest, because I wanted to go there. I wanted to see how they were living. And so when I got down there, it was so interesting. You saw no disease at all, no deformities, except all the little children look like this. They have this big belly. They're little skinny kids, little skinny legs. And so my question was, why do all the kids have these great big bellies? And he said, because they're parasites. We eat fish. We eat raw. Fish, that's what they live on off the Amazon River. And he said, so once a year, we deparasite them, and we lay them all on the ground, and we put a big hunk of red meat by their mouth, and they lay there with their mouth open for quite a few hours, and the parasites and worms crawl back up through their throat to the raw meat. And I thought, okay, there's got to be a better way. So when we go and do a parasite and worm cleanse, it's a really intense detoxification. So you've all been through a Candida program. That's an intense detoxification. And essentially, we're doing the same thing. We're trying to eliminate a harmful living organism that does not want to die out of the body, so your body's immune system can heal. So when we detoxify, our goal is to paralyze the adult tapeworms and kill them. That causes them to detach from the intestinal tract. Sometimes they dissolve, but many times they eliminate whole and then pass out of your body through your stool. Because you've all been through a Candida program, this might not sound so horrible to you, but if we are really infested with intestinal parasites and worms, my goal is to get people to go through the liquid lemon juice, distilled water, pure maple syrup cleanse for 10 days as we start. I know that might sound really horrible to you, but the best I feel ever in my entire life is to do a cleanse for 10 days. The other way, and then go back into foods like you go back into eating the correct foods, but continuing to take the detoxification herbs. The other way that we eliminate parasites is in foot baths. So hopefully you've all had a foot bath. I know John used it and Patty used them a lot. So we have 7,000 nerve endings in the bottoms of our feet, and they all relate back to an organ of the body. And to go through a foot bath, when you're detoxifying, those parasites will come out through your feet. I know I'm telling you things that are going to make you really nervous when you're doing them, because it's not fun to know that you've got living organisms in your system. But when they pour out the awful stuff that came out of your feet, generally in the bottom of the water, there are swimming parasites. So my goal is to make sure there are parasites coming out and there are worms coming out through the stool, in order to see how long we're going to keep people detoxifying. Okay.
Linda, before you move on, can you explain to people that don't understand why the 10-day does so much more than the 3-day, just how that process works?
Well, because when you detoxify, that's the intense cleansing of the liver and the bowels and the kidney. It purifies the blood. It cleanses, the actual cleanse formula breaks up the incrustations on the walls of the colon, and it's formulated to kill parasites and worms. 3 days of that lemon cleanse is great to go into a program to begin with. We're trying to kill an invader that doesn't want to die. And so if you were working with me, I'm probably meaner than John. He just kind of told you that as he introduced me. That I just say, look at what you're eliminating. Because I make people go through their stool and I do foot baths on them. I want them to see what we're eliminating. And so my goal is to go through that intense kill off and then go back into foods slowly, like you do with the Candida program. In fact, the woman that I'm working with now that is totally full of parasites and worms and her life is miserable, she's gone through the first 10 days and then she's been like 2 weeks, and now she's doing another 10-day. I'm going to get her well, and she's doing it, so that makes me happy. So it's just an intense. We want those worms to let go, and we want them out of the body. So one of the great things that John has that I don't happen to have personally, he probably intimated that I've retired and I just kind of do private stuff now. But the thing I miss the most is his machine that evaluates your health and will pretty much tell you if you've got parasites and worms. So have you talked about that, John?
Oops, sorry.
Oops. Yes, all the time. We talk about it all the time, and the need to do that, to find out.
And actually, if you go through a really good detoxification and you think there's a possibility, it's really easy to tell in a foot bath or to go through your stool. As icky as that might sound.
Quick story about parasites when with the foot bath. Patty had been working for me about a year, and her family went on a cruise. And when she came back, first day of work, I think it was back to work, she told me she was feeling a little sluggish and wanted to know if she could take a little time and do a foot bath. And I, of course, said, sure, being the good
Generous.
employer that I am. So I let her do a foot bath, and I'm in my office doing some work, and she called out to me and said that something in the water that she's never seen before. And so I walked over there and I looked in the water and I said, those are parasites. This woman freaked out. She started to pull both feet out of the water. I had to put my hands on her knees and hold her feet down.
It's true.
And she said, I said, what are you doing? She said, I don't want my feet in here with the bugs. I go, they're coming out of your body. She was in denial for a little bit. She was like, no, no. But that's a true story, right?
Yeah, absolutely true.
I had to make her keep her feet in there. And the whole time after that, she wouldn't look in the water. She just kept her head up like this, like, I'm not looking, it's not there. Okay. But it is so important for those people who've been calling and saying, I'm detoxing, if you have diarrhea a lot now and all this and that. So, those are some of the reasons why that you have it. So
Yeah.
I didn't want to interrupt there, but I just had to
Yeah.
tell that story.
Yeah. So cruises, you gotta be careful. I guess the linens, and the food, you have to be careful. Yeah. My sister's on a 9-day cruise right now. I'll have to make her do a foot bath when she gets back.
So if you're thinking about what our goal is, what my goal is, what John and Patty's goals are, our goals are to teach and love and get you well. And we want your immune system to be working absolutely top notch. You could be 20, you can be 40, you could be 80. But your immune system is what's going to keep you having a great quality of life. You can't do it if you have candida. You can't do it if you're full of worms. You can't do it if you've had a lifetime of poor health history and poor habits. So if you're wondering why we do what we do, the reason we do what we do is because our passion is to teach and train and love you well. And this is just another step. It does not mean you all have parasites and worms, but it does mean that that's another thing we look into if we're not being able to get you well.
But it is more common than most people believe.
90% of all Americans have parasites, and they may pass out of your body every time you drink water, and you will never know. But if they've got a little colony going on in there and have done a whole little city and nest, you're going to know.
And that's why when we do the Zytoscan, sometimes it shows water contaminants. That can be part of it as well.
For sure.
People drinking tap water, and then they say, well, my water was tested, it seemed okay. Well, there's different things about that. They're not testing for parasites and different stuff that's in it, number one. And number two is the parameters a lot of times for the testing is so broad that sometimes they'll come back and say it's within standards, which doesn't mean that you're not getting the wrong stuff. Okay. How about questions? Anybody have any questions for Dr. Nelson? This is your time to ask questions from the expert.
They're all, I can look at the look on their faces. They're all kind of sicked out here. Particularly Liz. Luz. Is it Luz?
Yes.
Luz.
L-U-Z?
Yes,
Okay,
Luz,
you've been
yeah.
awesome. You've been awesome. I'm kind of bouncing off you.
Oh, thank you. I actually have a question.
Okay.
So would you say that like rosacea would be an indicator of parasites?
For sure.
Oh, great.
And I will tell you, if you think you might have parasites and worms and you don't know, I will promise you, doing a 10-day cleanse, you'll know, but you also will, your body will work better. You'll feel better. Everything in your body will work better. And after about the 4th day, you don't really care. You're just feeling better every day. And then we have to force people to start eating again. So you'll have to take my word on that.
Well, I will be doing a 10-day cleanse.
Somebody just asked a question. How often should a person check their stools?
Well, definitely when they're going through a program. But if you go back and look at, if you've been through a Candida program and you're still having major bloating, if you're still having mood swings and having a hard time sleeping, and particularly if as the pinworms eliminate from the body every single night, you get itching, I would do it again. In fact, Alex, my cute Alex here. For all of you who don't know Alex, she's the best. If I was going to start another company in the world, I would have her. She said, I read when I was doing the PowerPoint, I read that there's a tape test that if you scotch tape over your anus at night, and then in the morning you pull it off, you'll be able to see if pinworms have come down and laid eggs. Okay, so if you really want suggestions on how to tell, you just need to call Alex or I. We'll figure it out.
It's taking the tape off that might be a problem.
So does the
Sorry.
itching start at night only?
Well, I think probably happens all the time, but generally at night when you're resting, they self-eliminate. But the thing is you're not bathing, it's a really good time for them to eliminate. But they've also left hundreds of thousands maybe back in your intestinal tract. So we just want to get rid of them.
Yeah.
Kim, you had a question?
I did. So I actually, one of my favorite services is a foot bath. You know that.
Mm-hmm.
So how often should we do those to sort of keep on top of it? Because I generally do at least a 4-day liquid cleanse every time I do the cleanse, because I just like that extra day. So I do agree that once you get to that 4th day, I haven't gone beyond that, but once I get to that 4th day, it's like, yeah, you know, it's just what it is. You don't really miss the eating.
Well, do you feel like that you still have symptoms? I'm thinking if you detoxify a lot, thing is, once we get rid of everything, you know what causes them and you know how you feel when you get them. And if you detoxify regularly, they're not going to have a chance to form colonies. So
yeah, I do. I do it every 3 months. Very
Yeah.
religious. I think I've ever missed one. And I get at least 1 foot bath a month. So, and sometimes twice a month, but I want to just keep on top of it because the last couple times I've been in there, I have had bloating, but I'm not sure that it's from that or just eating things I shouldn't be eating.
okay, well, next time you go, do you live in Massachusetts or Connecticut?
I do. I go
Yeah.
to the East Hampton office.
Oh, so if you go in and have a foot bath, that's a really easy way for me to pick up if there's still pinworms there. just sort of mention it so they'll look at the water when they dump it.
Okay.
Something that I don't know if everybody knows, but when I was once upon a time, I was in the furniture industry, and people order mattresses, and research has shown that when you have an old mattress, they're much heavier than it was when it was new, and a lot of it's because of parasites and stuff that leaves the body and gets into your mattresses.
Oh, okay. I hadn't thought that up. I think I'm gonna go buy me a new one.
So just so you know, that's a fact.
Pillows
other
are
thing
the
I want-
same thing.
Pardon?
Your pillow is the same thing. You should put it in your dryer and subject it to heat at least like once a month.
For
People
sure,
don't,
for
but-
sure. Yeah,
Mm.
for sure.
A lot of times when people do programs, after the program, they feel that they're done with everything. And, we notify people it's time to detox, and people say, well, I feel good and I really don't need to do it. And I think one of the things that hopefully you garnered from this is that, everything is prevention. So kind of our modality in our society is wait until I feel bad and then do something, rather than do it while I feel good so that I have the best opportunity not to feel bad. Because there are people that are on the phone or on this Zoom call that, have done programs, felt really good, and then disappeared for a long period of time, and then come back and say, I need to start over. And that's detoxing regularly and doing the right nutrients will prevent that for the most part. Okay. So I just wanted to stress the importance. We talk about detoxing and how important it is to do it on a regular basis, at least once every 3 months.
Yeah, quarterly. You should do one summer, fall, winter, spring. Fit in a cleanse. The benefits of being healthy are huge, and sometimes it's hard to get there because we have to work through a lot of stuff that we've created by our lifestyle. But the benefits of being healthy is everything: lifestyle, relationships, everything.
John, I got a
Can you-
question. Oh,
John's got a question.
Judge, go ahead.
I got a two-parter here. One, I like grounding. I like walking barefoot in the grass in my yard. So am I risking stuff? And then two, what's the foot cleanse? I haven't heard that yet.
The second part we'll talk about. I'll talk to you about
Okay.
that.
Okay.
The first part I'll let Dr. Nelson answer. About
Okay,
the
you're
barefoot.
talking about the grass. You know what? I do barefoot grass too. I think we're talking more about unsanitary conditions.
Oh, okay.
And if you've got animal waste. Animals are really a contributor to particularly worms. So, if you're in a sanitary place, go for it.
Nice. Okay. Thank you.
And the other thing is, I think we have to understand, we're not saying don't walk barefoot ever. There's a lot of things we're going to do, but that's why detoxing and taking care of yourself and getting scanned periodically and doing those things so we can see what's going on and you can fix it before it becomes a problem. Nobody's going to say never walk outside barefoot. That's silly. Okay. But we're going to do things that we need to take care of ourselves, and detoxing and taking the right nutrients and knowing what our body's doing. That's how we prevent the problems.
I'll tell you, when
And-
you're healthy,
Done.
yeah, when you're healthy, if something affects your body, immediately. If you're not healthy, you don't know. You just feel like you just don't feel good today. But if you're really healthy and something were to happen that compromises your health, So a good barometer is to get healthy and be able to
Yeah.
self-assess yourself.
Kimberly, hang on one sec. Anna, you had your hand raised first.
I just have a question, and maybe you answered it. The 10-day, when you say 10-day cleanse, to do 10 days of liquid?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You know what? You will love it. I promise you, you will love it. You might think you won't, but you will.
Okay.
All right, Rosita.
Kimberly?
Oh, Rosita was next, sorry.
I would
Rosita,
like you to do that on the Candida program too, if I had my choice, but we're talking with people who are not well, and a lot of times I have to hold their hand and take them home with me to get them to do 3 days. So.
Yes.
Mhm.
Rosia,
have-
you had something?
Yeah. I remember as a child, and I come from a family of 10. So we used to play in the dirt in the backyard a lot. So we all had pinworms. And my mother would always check us, and she gave us enemas.
Yep.
Is that like common practice?
Yes, it is. I grew up with an enema bag hanging on the back of the bathroom door my whole life. So in fact, that's kind of a funny thing with all of our kids. And when we talked to our mother about how abused we were, we had to live with enema bags hanging everywhere. So yes, for sure. And sandboxes. Okay, if we're going to talk about where things grow, sandboxes are a big deal.
Mm.
Kimberly?
So she said detox like every quarter. Can you still, when I finish the Candida program, can you still do the detox monthly or?
You can.
Yes, you can.
You can.
For sure. For sure.
Okay, absolutely.
And you can take the detox herbs
All the time.
continually, even if you're eating healthy.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else have a question?
June, you look like you want to say something.
No.
Unmute if you do.
I don't know, John, should I talk about this?
You didn't give me the message, so I don't know.
The dizziness that I have had and I haven't been able to get rid of for 2 weeks now. Don't know what to do. It started at the beginning of the second month of the Candida program. And I laid down one night and all of a sudden everything was just terribly spinning. I've never experienced anything like that before. And it took me about 2 hours to recover from it. Since then, it's happened one other time that bad, but the rest of the time I've learned to live with it. In other words, the only time it really bothers me is when I'm laying down, when I lay down flat with my head down, and I just do it very, very slowly. I get up very, very slowly. So, right now I've been avoiding, for instance, getting a wrap because being put down on the bed is gonna put me into a terrible, terrible dizzy spell. And I don't know what to do. And I don't know if it's just gonna go away. It's been 2 weeks now, so I'm getting worried.
I think I talked to John about that. We came up with a few suggestions, so maybe you could talk with him one-on-one.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, that's okay. Yeah, I think that he called me and we talked about that. So
okay.
Hey, anybody else?
Okay, then I think I'm going to sneak out of here because they're going to lock the office on me.
Thank you so much,
Thanks,
Dr.
Dr.
Nelson.
Nelson.
Everybody else stay on if you want to be part of the drawing.
Okay,
Don't
good
leave.
luck to all of you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank
Nelson.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. We'll be talking soon.
Thank you.
Bye, Dr.
Thank
Nelson.
you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, we're gonna have our drawing. We give away 4 prizes every class. The first one's $100 gift certificate. You can use it on services, product, whatever you want. The second one is $50, and the third and fourth are 25 each. We draw your name. You have to be aboard to win. If you've already clocked, or if somebody's already clocked out, then we draw again. Okay, you have to use it by the end of business on the 20th, right?
June,
Was it next class?
next class is the 21st of June, yeah, so June 20th, you have to use it
By the
by.
close of business on June 20th has to be used. Okay, so before we do that, anybody have any questions, any thoughts about what Dr. Nelson talked about? Okay,
Muriel does.
okay, Meryl,
Just unmute, please.
you have to unmute.
There
I'm
you go.
just wondering if RLS has anything to do with parasites.
Restless leg syndrome.
Okay. Parasites has something to do with almost everything that involves, one thing she didn't mention was, there was just a report from, what's his name, Kennedy, Robert Kennedy,
Jr.
that's, third party running for,
President.
and, he went through a physical and they found parasites in the brain. Okay, so they can affect all of your nervous system, everything. So yes, it could possibly be.
I've had this since I was 35 years old. I'm 81 this year, so I'm just wondering, you know, if,
But in one of her slides, it says that, they can live up to 50 years in the body and then they're constantly reproducing too.
Mm.
So. Okay.
so that means a 10-day detox for me?
Well, I mean, here's what I'm gonna say. I say do a detox and go as long as you possibly can, up to 10 days. All right. If you start out saying, I'm going to do 10 days, that seems like an awful long time. Do 3 and then do one at a time, one at a time, one at a time. Okay. Rather than saying, starting out, I'm going to do 10. So it's kind of like, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Should I wait until after the Candida thing is done? I'm on the Candida diet right now. Should I wait until that's done?
No. If you're ready to detox, you detox.
Okay, so then just liquids then. Okay.
Yep. But just let us know. We'll walk you through.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the detoxing process, the 3 days, the 10 days, any days in between, besides what this was all about tonight, the parasites and the worms, it's everything about your immune system. It's reducing inflammation and getting rid of those sugar cravings and just all of that, making your digestive system work better. So the detoxing.
I don't even crave sugar anymore.
Okay, good.
Or potato chips.
Or potato chips. Good.
Can worms cause thyroid issues or do what was it?
There we go. So question. Can worms cause thyroid issues or do thyroid issues make you susceptible to worms?
Yes, the latter. Okay, the thyroid issues would make you more susceptible. Thyroid is still the immune system, but your thyroid is the centerpiece of your whole immune system. So when that starts to break down, your immune system becomes sluggish. And of course, then that's where all this stuff feeds and, has the victory lap.
Really good.
Anybody else? That was great questions. Okay, we're going to do the first drawing. $100 gift certificate. And Patty drew it, and the winner is Kimberly.
Kimberly Wilkerson.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, nice, Kimberly.
Okay, the second one.
Not me.
That's why I had to clarify. Because you're usually just Kim. So
Thank you.
Welcome.
I want this one. No, I want this one. I want the folded one.
And the second winner for $50. You just may be able to do your detox, Muriel. You just won $50.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
Hey.
The third one. $25. Jane,
Yay. Good.
Jane there?
Yep, she's waving.
Hi, Jane. Are you still in New Mexico?
Yeah, I think she's coming back end of June
Okay.
or July.
And the third or fourth and the last for $25 is and you know you're all winners, so that so we're drawing the 4 people got lucky tonight, but everybody on here is a winner. $25, lose.
A big
Yay.
smile.
Okay. And I want to thank everybody for being here. I hope you learned something from this. I hope it was interesting. I know there was many other people I was hoping would be on so they could hear this stuff, because sometimes it's the people that have the worst problems that don't tune in. There was several people that talked about diarrhea and all kinds of stuff going through the program. And that's why your body's cleansing, your body's getting rid of things. It's uncomfortable, but we have to go through it if we want to fix the problem, like everything else. Okay. Before we go, is there any questions? Anybody want to ask a question or have something they want to comment or have an idea for another class, anything like that? Open for ideas. Don't everybody talk at once because you can't hear.
I like this one because it gives us some ideas of how we get sick to start with, besides our diet. Just, the general touching of things and eating of certain foods. And so something along these lines would be good as far as attacking something else that we can address aside from parasites in what we do and how we get there. I mean, we all know the eating thing, but
here's the thing. Our health is dictated by our lifestyle. It's all about lifestyle. I mean, it is what we eat. It is what we drink. It is how we think. It is our stress levels. It's all of those things that come together and make the problem. We can do a class on stress. We can do a class on many things. And it's hard to get everything right. Okay. And I don't think any of us ever will get everything right. We just have to constantly work on it. And that's why, we have the classes hopefully, and we talk individually about things, but it's all about the body healing. We have to let it heal. We know how to heal it, no matter whether it is diarrhea, whether it's worms, whether it's dizziness, whether there's things we just have to go through and let it work its way through to heal the body in reverse order. So it's hard, I know, but that's what we have to do.
well, this one was
A good
very
idea.
specific, and for many of us, I think it brought up things that we wouldn't even thought of as part of.
Right.
That's why I was thinking it being the specific, picking specific processes that we could look at for ourselves.
Good. Anybody else have a question? If not, we'll say good night. Oh, Maureen, you got your hand up?
Yes.
Okay,
Patty,
go ahead.
when's the next detox?
June
June
10th.
10th.
Okay, I'm gonna do it. Try again.
Okay.
Okay.
Get Ed on board too.
Okay.
We're gonna do it. We're not gonna try. We're gonna do it.
Yep.
No, I know. I couldn't get the whole 2 bottles down because
Okay.
it hurts so bad.
And then you might want to try lime juice.
Okay.
Start out with lime juice instead of lemon.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see if that works.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Who else? Anybody else before we sign off?
I never
Everybody
thought,
have
I just never
sorry.
using lime juice. Is it as effective as
Well,
lemon juice?
it is, but for some people that have extreme gastro issues, sometimes lime juice a little more gentle.
Oh, okay.
I'd rather do the lemon, but we can do lime as well, as long as it's a pure lime. And same portions and everything like that. Okay,
Does that come in a concentrate like the lemon?
yes. Yes, it does.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
All right.
when Kennedy has this tapeworm in the brain and it died, so it's no way to eliminate it, I would think.
No, the body will move it through just like everything else because it's all about fluid. It will move it. But he's probably got a lot of other parasites as well, other places in the body. Okay, so that's just a signal that he's got parasites. But like Dr. Nelson said, 90% of all people at any given time have some parasites. If you have dogs, cats, stuff like that, you're going to have parasites on and off. No doubt about it. If you're changing diapers, you're working with people, bathing them and stuff, you're going to get parasites, especially if the people are unhealthy, that type of thing. So it's just things that we have to understand are going to happen to us depending on what our lifestyle is. And oftentimes we have to do it because that's your job. Just like the foot baths, I make everybody wear gloves to dump the foot baths because there's parasites in them. Okay, so you spill some on yourself, you do something, you're liable to pick up parasites. We'll give them back to you, but So, okay, anybody else?
Anna asked if we can do a class on how to get your visceral fat down.
I'll work on something like that, Anna, see if I can work on that. Okay.
All right, everyone.
Everyone have a wonderful weekend. We won't talk to you before a Memorial Day. Be safe over the long weekend, as that's coming up next, the following weekend. Take care of yourselves. Love yourselves enough to take care of yourselves, just like you would the other people you love in your life. And we're here for you anytime you need us. Take care. God bless you, and just know we love you. And as I always say, I stole this from Clayton. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it.
We love you too. Thank you so much.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you. Have a nice
you.
night.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You gonna say goodbye?
I did.
That's what you did?